Duck fans, welcome in. A little bit of an impromptu podcast crossover. I'm Sam. I'm from the Once a Duck podcast. Nick couldn't be here today, but I'm joined by a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself to the Duck fam, even though I know you don't have to.
Man, I'm modest. Don't make me feel like that, man. Don't make me blush. But, I'm going to go by the name of BStro or Stromio. You can find me on Twitter, Stromio1, or Instagram. I'm everywhere except for Facebook. Facebook got hacked like 2 years ago, so I never went back. But, I'm here from, Flock's Highcast. Surpassing sports as always, man. That thing, getting the athletes, we're lucky and fortunate enough to speak to athletes and get their story and let them get their story across their way. It's always a big thing to do that. So, shout out to those two mainly. Other than that, man, I'm just me. B to the S to the T to the R to the O. Let's get this thing cracking, man. You already know I'm all about the Ducks, baby.
Oh, man, that's the first question. I know you're all about the Ducks. I'm all about the Ducks, too. The first thing I was kind of wondering, I've wondered this for a while, what was that experience like that made you a Duck fan? And, like, when you think back to, like, those days when you were, like, really first starting to follow the squad, who were those guys that were on that team that were just really running it? Like, who made you fall in love with Duck football?
Dennis Dixon, of course. That's easy. Dude, it's so crazy that I actually have, like, very little subtle conversations with dude on IG. Like, he doesn't know that he's the reason I'm a Duck fan. I think I have told him one time, he's like, I appreciate that, but it's not like total fan out, man. But Dennis, Jay Stu, of course. I remember Cameron Colvin, Leaf. Who else do we had? Joey, Ontario. Dude, I loved some Ontario. Like, I knew that back in the early 2000s. I wasn't a fan, but, they intrigued me because of the uniforms. And then the ugly futuristic duck they had. I seen that thing pop out the egg. I was like, yo, this is weird. Like, I'm intrigued, but I don't know. But, I followed them. Then 07 with Dennis and Stu. Who else did they have? Jason Williams, Ed Dixon, Reed.
Man, they had all those corners. They had Patrick Chung back then, Walter
Chung,
and Jairus Bird.
Chung. Who else was there? Pleasant.
Yup.
Eddie Pleasant was a beast.
Paysinger, Matthews. Those guys were young, but they were on those squads.
Yes, Paysinger, Matthews. The thing is, Oregon had depth, and it was very subtle. But these dudes could play depth, But yeah, all those guys, man, from the 07, 08 squad, I was kind of hurt Roper fell off, man, because Roper was trying to hold on to what they had, going. It wasn't the perfect situation, but it happens.
Well, man, my story is so similar. I think I was really falling in love with the Ducks around the same time. I grew up in Portland, so I was much closer to it. So at a younger age, I was really attracted to it. But I remember it was a guy I was hoping you wouldn't mention just so I could. Man, when I think of the guy who really made me fall in love with Oregon football, it's Jeremiah Johnson. It's Jeremiah Johnson, and it's because when Oregon played Oregon State back in, I believe it was 2008, Oregon was supposed to just get waxed. They came out, they balled out. Johnson had 200 yards in the first half. I remember the exact same room I'm sitting in right now. I was sitting on the floor in here with the radio on because I didn't have the TV station it was on. So I was listening to that game and just couldn't believe it. Because I knew some of my best friends in elementary school at the time were all Beaver fans. So I was like, man, I'm going to talk so much shit on them when I get to school. I'm going to talk so much on them when I get to school because I'm so hyped. But man, that whole season I was starting to get really into it, but that was the game that just cemented it. And now 12 years later or whatever, I'm a student at the school because I couldn't get away from it.
That's dope, bro. That's mad dope, fam. That's mad dope.
Man, it's so cool to be sitting in that student section that I grew up watching and just be man, yeah. I'm fucking a part of this. This is so crazy. But this was a season that I was going to be really excited for. I was really excited for 2020 coming up. Everything looked like it was falling to line perfectly. So I guess if the world hadn't come to a crashing halt, what would your expectations for this 2020 team have been?
Man, I'm happy we got Coach Moorhead one. I was calling for that the day I found out he got let go by Mississippi State. Thank you, Mississippi State. I was just intrigued to see what he would bring to the offense. Um, Mario wants to have a downhill running game. It's proved to work for us in the long run, especially in games where we play teams like Wisconsin. Um, he's brought that along, but Moorhead can bring the twists and the nuances and the RPOs, and he can take things and he can manipulate them because he's a true offensive coordinator. He's been here for years, you know. Um, and then we're also going to give him some weapons. I mean, he's had Saquon Barkley, he's had Gesicki, he's had McSorley. You know, we're giving him a Shuck, we're giving him, a Ty Thompson, we're giving him a C.J. Riddell, a Travis Dye, Cyrus, of course. And we're giving him some good receivers like Johnny Johnson, Red. So when we have all of these weapons and we're giving them to a great offensive coordinator and a great offensive line coach or great offensive line coaches, it's nothing but sweet music and beautiful things that can come from this. We just got to be patient. Now, that's on the offensive side. On the defensive side, man, we're returning, 10-plus starters on defense? So, or 10-plus guys that have reps, in key moments. And, we got some young talent coming in, and we've got some veterans that are very talented. And one person that everybody's been overlooking, especially in those lists, is Diamador Lenore. Like, dude, him and Thomas are like two of the top defending corners and passes. People are going to bring up the Arizona State game, but fam, everybody has an off game. I'm not calling it an off game, but everybody has an off game at the end of the day. So they can do that, but those dudes have played against first-round draft pick receivers, and they've held their own. So, of course, everybody's looking at Flo and Sewell, but, those two are going to get their reps. That's a given, especially when we rotate guys. We rotate guys in every position, D-line, linebackers, and DBs. Like, everybody's rotating. That's why we have 4 good safeties. That's why we have 4 or 5 to 6 good corners. That's why we have 5 to 6 linebackers that we can play, and they all have experience and can make plays. And our D line's like 9 deep. We got seniors on the D line, sophomores on the D line. We might have a freshman or two that might, crack the top, rotations, and you still got some juniors. And not to mention, we got guys that redshirted that's coming in. So it was a lot of expectations that I was having, but I was also just wanting to see how things were going to gel with, new pieces coming in and some things being changed. But the defense was going to be locked and loaded. That was my question.
And that was exactly what I was thinking. I was looking at the schedule and I was saying, okay, you got Ohio State week 2. If there was ever a test, that's it. And then after that, who in the Pac-12 really has the offensive firepower to keep up with what that defense would have been able to do? And on top of that, Oregon's toughest games of the season, at least in my mind, besides Cal, which I thought could have been real tricky on the road, they had them at home. They had ASU at home. They had SC at home. They had Washington at home, Stanford at home. All those big matchups, those were being played in the most volatile atmosphere in the Pac-12. That was going to have a crowd on your side. That was going to be a great environment. Going to Cal, that's a tricky game, but I'm not going to sit here and act like the Cal fans were going to come out and make that a super tricky atmosphere. I've gone to games at Cal. It is what it is. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah. The game for was it?
I went in 2018.
Was it that one? I was also going to say the game where the year we were undefeated and we had the really close, was it 17-14 game at Cal?
It was like 17-14, 15-13. It was something weird like that.
And Cliff had to return that punt for a touchdown to help. Like, I understand Cal. And then, of course, when they had Deshaun Jackson and Hulk and receivers, they had, some decent talent come through at Cal, decent running backs. It's not like Cal's ever just been bums. So I definitely, could see Cal being a problem. Because, hell, they gave us a problem last year at our house.
They gave us a problem last year, and I think Wilcox is a really good coach, a really solid defensive coach. That would have been – you would have seen an SEC-style ball game in the Pac-12 if Oregon would have played Cal. That would have been just a real slow, grinded-out kind of ball game. But unfortunately, we don't get to see any of that. We don't get to see any of that. We missed out on a really good non-conference slate as well. But my expectation for the team was, you got to go out and win the Pac-12. You had to go out and win the Pac-12 in 2020, and I think that Oregon very easily could have, and I think it's a big shame we're not going to be able to see that,
Yeah, it is a shame. Circumstances understood. Everybody wants college football, but sometimes, we have to handle things that are more important, and especially adults. You know, we should want to handle this the best way possible, especially if we want to be able to have football. So,
Oh,
uh,
can't help but agree with you. It's something that with everything going on, it's like it just needs to be said. Of course, I'm supportive of the idea that hey, look, you probably got to shut it down. We're probably shutting it down for the right reasons. I'm a big listening to the people like the health professionals who are saying, hey, look, you probably should be shutting it down right now. I'm supportive of all of that. Just looking at that schedule, though, it is unfortunate that's not something we'll be able to see play out.
for sure, man. I mean, this is a schedule that says, hey, we can gain some momentum playing North Dakota State. We can test ourselves versus Ohio State to see where we're at. Honestly, if everything was normal, I think we would actually beat Ohio State. Would it
I,
be a no? Would it be a close game? I expect it because Ohio State has a great team. They recruit great. They have great coaches. Now, my thing is their head coach. How will he handle this situation coming to a volatile situation, especially on the West Coast, and have a tight game like this against a team like Oregon? How would he handle that? So, I think we would have a shot in that game. And then you got Hawaii to to get some reps, and then to also let young guys come in and get some reps as well, especially if the game got out of hand. And then after that, the Pac-12, man. I mean, it is Oregon's to win. I'm gonna tie this into the next topic with the recruiting. It's because the recruiting. Mario, I harped on this for years. He comes from pipeline at Miami that's known for success in recruiting and winning national championships. He came from a pipeline at Alabama that has had nothing but the highest of standard for college football for the past, last 10 years. So, I mean, he knows what it takes. He's seen Saban. Saban loses an assistant coach, at least one assistant coach every year. And they either go be a coordinator somewhere or they become a head coach. And so he's seen it. He understands what he wants from his team. He understands what he wants his team to do. And that's the same way with Saban. If you look at Saban's scheme when Saban first got to Bama, it was a one-back formation, and they ran the ball majority of the time. That's what Mario was trying to do, but he understood Oregon's history of having explosive plays. So, the first couple of years was rough, and now we got more ahead. It's better. And he's recruiting top players that want to come play at Oregon. It's not just those kids that say Oregon's my dream school and going somewhere else. It's kids that say Oregon's my dream school and I'm going to go. That's the case now.
and you led me perfectly into that next question, which has been it's undoubtable that recruiting has stepped up, especially Mario Cristobal at the helm. Talk about like what are some of the factors you think that have led to such a rise, and also what is like the importance of being able to have a recruiting positive culture?
I'm not trying to say he's a car salesman because that's not what Mario is. But to understand what you're selling or what you're trying to present to these young men. Opportunity one, to win the first national championship in Oregon history. Two, we have great facilities. We have great education. We have a great atmosphere. We have a great little city that is on the West Coast in the mountains. And we're in our own little world. We grind. The grind is going to be the grind. But we're going to have fun. We're going to respect the grind. And we're going to win some games. And we're going to compete against top schools. We get to go to Georgia in a couple years and play Atlanta. We get to go to Ohio State and play in Columbus. We're going to play in big games on national television, and we're going to do that, and we're going to win these games because of the way that we prepare. And the way that we prepare is to be relentless and to make them get tired of us. So when you have that and you're able to tap into your facilities and your school, and you present this in a manner that makes kids love it and they feel like they're home in the atmosphere, you have no choice but to buy it.
I guess the follow-up that I'd have from that is let's say you're on this coaching staff, you're a part of this team. How are you selling a kid? Like, let's say if we're having a Zoom call right now, in some amazing alternate universe where I actually have a lick of athletic ability, you're trying to sell me on coming to Oregon. How are you selling me that this university is my home?
You know what? I'm gonna do it like this for you. Since I know this is gonna be out there, I'm gonna talk to you like you Corey Foreman or you JT or if you Bryce Foster. You know, that's 3 5-star linemen. One's for the offense, 2's on defense, and they're all 3 looking at Oregon. We've had success in recent years. We've got Penei Sewell, who's won the Outland Trophy for the best offensive lineman, best lineman in college football. We have Kayvon Thibodeau, who is potentially one of the top defensive linemen in college football as a sophomore. We're building something on defense. We've got great linebackers that just came in. We've got great linebackers that made plays last year. We've got a secondary that's got experience. We've got a school that is investing in its athletes and its students. We've put things in place to help you succeed on the field, off the field. You want to get to the pros, Coach Phil is going to push you to get to the pros. If you want to be a great sports management or get a degree in business, Oregon's got that. If you want to be a person that does journalism, Oregon's got that. If you want to be a sports commentator, Oregon's got that. If you want to do this and that, Oregon's got that. And we're also going to be great on the field. We're going to compete in these games, and we're not going to give up. We're going to be relentless, and we're going to win these games, and we're going to win them our way, and we're going to make those other teams get tired of playing us. We're going to be the team that nobody wants to be, and he said that in the interview. And if you're going to be able to do this, Bama did it for years. Bama won games 20-10. But what they did is they grinded you into the ground, and you got tired. Marshawn Lynch said it the best way. I'm going to keep hitting you in the face. And eventually, you're going to get tired of me hitting you in your face. And you wish that I would go around you so you can try to dodge but try to make a play. And that's where you got them beat. Because when they try to get around you to do that little leg swipe, you run through it because they're tired of getting hit in the face. So, defensive line, Corey, JT, fam, you got Kayvon Thibodeau. We've got some guys that we recruited the last 2 years that are great D linemen out the West Coast. Why not stay on the West Coast? Rule the West Coast at Oregon. You got other schools that's trying to get to where we are. Other schools have fell off and have been fell off for years. Schools talking about tradition. Okay, yeah, tradition is great. How about creating a new tradition? How about coming to a family atmosphere where we can take and make this our own and create our own? Because nothing is really established here, especially in the realm of a national championship. Mr. Foster, come get coached by 2 of the best offensive lineman coaches in all of college football. That's period, point blank. You want to do shot put? We got the best track and field facilities over here. You can do your shot put. Come over here. Me and Coach Field and Coach Mirabal gonna get you right so you can get to the pros with your blocking too. I mean, what does Oregon not have? Like that's where we're at. We've got coaches, we've got staff, we've got the facilities, we've got everything put it together now, and Mario's doing that, and it's a recipe. You know, the recipe for success.
Added on to how that's being sold, how helpful is it to have players like somebody like Jax, for example, who's on the TV behind me right now, or somebody like Keith Brown, who's going to go out there and really sell the program to other kids their age? How important is that to have recruits also out there doing their fair share of recruiting and trying to bring guys in?
I mean, it's a locker room environment, man. I mean, if you want to be the best, and they say iron sharpens iron, why not come over here? We've got receivers, we've got corners, we've got linebackers, we've got D-line. Where can you not get better at? We want to get better, and we're going to push each other to get better. You know, we've got great coaches. They're going to push us to get better. And not everybody has that opportunity. And you have guys like Jackson, you have guys like Ty, and it's a beautiful thing because they love it. You know, when you love something, you will boast about it. You know, so say in the sense of a proud father talks about his kids doing great, and that's how you feel about this recruiting. Is they're like, yo, it's great here. And it's not going to change because we want it to be that way. So we're going to make sure it's that way when I get here. So some kids buy in, fam, and it's all about buying in. Some will buy in, some won't. Not every, and that's one thing I say is being a Duck isn't for everybody.
You're absolutely right. Being a Duck isn't for everybody, but I hope that there's a lot of people who can be a part of it, because I mean, I'm wearing the shirt right now that says it, but
For sure.
Oregon is a family, and
Yeah, for sure, man. Like
it's a fun family to be a part of.
it's so wild, bro, to think that I actually came to Oregon and I met like Nick Pickett's mom. I took a picture with it was Nick Pickett's mom. I met Johnny Johnson's mom. Like I met these players' moms. I've met parents, had conversations with parents, and it's like, fam, they just treat me like I'm like when Panay's mom recognized me on the field. I just heard this lady's voice say my name, and I was like, "Who is it?" And I'm looking at Panay's dad. Like when I tell people, like I was like sitting there like, "What is his response going to be?" And he's like, "Oh, you're BStro," and I was like, "Yes." He just big grin. I was like, "This is cool." Like Panay's parents recognize me. I'm more in awe of the fans of Oregon. Like when I got to Oregon, I was like, no, I'm fans of you guys because you guys lived this. You guys were engrossed in this. Like I'm just experiencing this for 3 days. I met Big Boy. Like I took a tour of the facilities. Like I didn't expect to take a tour of the facilities. I didn't expect Rob Mosley to take time out of his day to show me the Marcus Mariota Performance Center. Like I didn't expect this. I came to Oregon to meet a couple people. Like I was fortunate enough to meet up with Lack from Seattle. Met Jerry Sawyer. Like I met people while I was there that knew me, and it was great just to talk to people. You know, just that night out there, we were downtown on the corner. It was like, oh snap! It was like you BStro. I was like, yeah, what's up? Just talking to students, like it was just another day. So when you have a family atmosphere and people can just feel comfortable and be themselves, it's hard not to want to be in that.
I mean, you mentioned that environment, and that's an environment that I want so badly for everybody to get back to. Neither one of us are going to be the people who will be able to give an answer on this officially by any means, but we can of course throw in our speculation. If you had to put an idea of when you think we'll be seeing Oregon football out on the field again, and when do you think that'll be?
Honestly, fam, we have hope for spring. Hope. But again, adults have to be adults in the situation. So it is hard for adults to be adults in any situation right now. That's a whole other topic. But I'm saying spring. If not the spring, we'll be looking at fall next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think fall of 21 at the absolute latest. I wouldn't be surprised if they are able to do at least something in spring. But I mean, we said earlier, I'm all for the safety of the players and the fans. If it's a safe environment to do it in spring, we can pull it off for whatever reason. Great, that's ideal. If not, whenever it's safe to do it again, I know that it will be done again. That's not really a problem.
And that's the whole thing, fam. Is everybody wants the sports. Well, right now, there's something that needs to be handled before we can get to the sports. You remember how your mom and your dad would make you do your homework when you got home before you jumped on the video game? We got to do our homework before we can play the video game. But some people that were fine with playing the video game before doing their homework, they just got by. Fair. So that's why we procrastinated. So procrastination on the homework got us 6 extra months of doing homework.
And Duck fans, you heard it here first. The problem is we're just not doing our homework. That's
you sleep. You sleeping. I like it. But it's cool, fam.
a little bit more hopeful of a look before we close this thing out. Looking ahead to whenever that is that we get football. What are you expecting for Oregon coming out of such a big break? And like who are some of the newcomers you kind of expect to see shining? Maybe even it is because they're able to get a little extra time.
Well, I mean, we all expect things from Flo and Sewell. I mean, that's like the dynamic headliner. But I'm interested to see what Chris Hudson does. Houston, I can never get that kid's name right. I'm so sorry for butchering the kid's name, and I hate when people butcher my name. But I'm interested to see if he gets in there and gets some touches. I'm interested to see if Benson gets some touches. But for the most part, man, I'm just interested to see what the team does, because you have so many pieces that you can plug in certain spots, and it just gels, and you can do so many different things. So I'm just anxious to see the final recipe of all of the beautiful ingredients, you know, because I mean, Oregon's loaded everywhere, and we have depth, and it's young, experienced depth, and you have older, experienced depth, and you can't beat that. You cannot beat that. And as a coach, you just have to make sure that you put your players in the right position. And I think what Mario's done is he's got Avalos, which is one of the best defensive coordinators, and Moorhead, which is, again, one of the best offensive coordinators. And you've put them back to back, and you've given them this talented Oregon. And, dude, Oregon's had – one thing I will never shy away from is Oregon has always had amazing players. Amazing players. The closest complete team that we could say for Oregon was probably what the 2012 team and the 07 squad were probably the most complete squads. The squad that won the Fiesta Bowl, I think is the squad everybody's talking about.
Yeah,
And
2012. I mean, I still make an argument that was the greatest Oregon team of all time.
And then you have the 07 squad and the what if Dixon didn't get hurt. But now we have everything. Like this, you can't just say this is the most complete team. We have a running game, we have a passing game, we have a run defense, and we have a pass defense. And you are able to put all of that together, and you have a beautiful recipe. And then you have special teams. You got Javon Holler returning punts, and then you got Mikael Wright housing kickoffs. Like, you have the perfect recipe, and that's what Alabama did for years. You know, they had big plays on special teams, big plays on offense, big plays on defense, and that's what Mario's brought. He's brought that to us.
Well, BStro, it's been awesome to be able to connect with you, be able to talk with you about some Oregon football. It's great just to be able to talk about Oregon football again, honestly.
Of course. It's always great to talk Oregon sports, man. Like, Oregon sports in general is just on its way up. Like, every sport, I keep saying this, every sport in Oregon is eating. Football, men's and women's basketball, softball, baseball is trying to get back to that level. You got hockey, track and field. Like, why not go to Oregon?
Why not? You heard it here first, folks. Why not go to Oregon? I know that I went to Oregon for the exact reason, because why not? It was only 90 minutes away, too. That kind of helped. Everybody tuned in. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I know that you guys will appreciate any more content that could be coming your way soon. I know that I'm working on it. I'm trying to get more out to everybody. But until next time, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys are able to get through this without getting too annoyed by the two of us. But thank you, Duck fans. I appreciate it. See y'all next time.
Be safe. Peace out.